I do have one request, which maybe not everybody likes, but this fan is too fast for me. I easily catch a cold. So either we do it very, very slow, or maybe we don't need. We have windows open. And please, everybody switch off your mobile phone. And please come closer. This is such a big temple and we are a small group. I actually wanted to put the chairs in a semicircle, but I didn't have the opportunity. So even you ladies who sit on the chair, Prabhus, please come closer. I'm a personalist. I like to reach my audience. Prabhu, come closer, close. Don't be afraid. It creates a much nicer mood and energy, right? Yes. Yes, you ladies, you can also come closer. No need for social distancing anymore. And you ladies can move over there so I can see you. Good. Om Gyantimandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshunmalitam Dana Tasmai Shri Guve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manubhistam Sabiram Yanubutale Swayam Rupakaram Ayam Danati Swabadantikam Namam Vishnubhada Krishna Bhista Bhuttani Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pujayane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasachara Svatarina
Vanchakalpatarubhasya kripa sinubevacha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. So everybody understands English? Yes. Okay. Things more. Okay.
Hare Krishna. It is a great pleasure today to have the association of her grace Devaki Mataji here with us. Devaki Mataji was born in Germany in 1958 and joined in ISKCON in Sydney, Australia in 1985. She is a disciple of His Holiness Niranjan Swami Maharaj. She has preached in various places in various ways. She is known for her preaching, especially in Bangladesh for the IYF and the guidance of His Holiness Bhakti Purushottam Swami Maharaj. And she is a traveling preacher who gives various seminars on very important topics concerning life and devotional service. And she is known across many places for her seminars, relationships, in false liver seminars, which I had the fortune to attend a few years ago. So it is our extremely great fortune to hear from Mataji for the next, I think, 1 week or so till October 11th. So on various topics, Mataji is giving seminars, and it is our fortune to hear. So let us welcome Mataji once by loudly chanting Hare Krishna Mantra.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay. Well, let me also express that it's my great pleasure to be once again in Seshadripuram temple. Last time I was here must have been 2018, right? That's 5 years ago, quite a while. And you were still in the old temple. And I think I visited you there about 3 times or something. And then 2017, I spent 3 months in Bangalore doing chemotherapy. And so many devotees took nicely care of me. I was staying 3-4 weeks in different families' homes, and they nicely cared for me. So that's why I have a very soft spot for Bangalore, because you all took care of me so nicely. Yes, so and as you see, I'm still hanging around in this body. So let's see what comes next. Yeah, so today we will give the first session on the topic of mentorship in Krishna consciousness. And actually, when I give the seminar in Mayapur, I give it over 5 days, 3 hours every day, 15 hours. So now we only have some little introduction. And we have today a session and tomorrow. And the today's session, I want to try and convince you all how important it is to have a mentor and eventually becoming one to others. Because unless we are convinced of this, then even though we may have heard that it is good to have a mentor, very often it is a social thing, an external formality, but deep within our hearts, we actually don't really ask for guidance. We don't accept dependence on this person, and we don't take shelter of this person. So yeah, we first have to be convinced that without having a mentor and eventually becoming one to others, we actually cannot make advancement. So I will try my best to, approach this topic from different angles. And then tomorrow evening, I would like to discuss all the qualities we have to serve as a mentor. This is also really important, Because if we look for a mentor and we don't even know what qualities that person should have, then we easily get disappointed. You know, we may accept a person who is not so qualified. And also, if we understand how important it is that we become eventually a mentor, then we should also know what qualities we have to develop and cultivate so that we can serve others as a mentor. And then also, I do have published a whole book on this topic, Sheltering Relationships. And I hope that these 2 sessions may inspire you to get the book, because there the whole topic is much more developed and expanded on, and it will be more convincing, hopefully. Yeah, so let me just start by sharing a few introductory thoughts that actually anybody who has been longer around in Krishna consciousness than 15, 20, 25 years, you may have also observed that so many people come to Krishna consciousness, they hang around for a while, and then they fade away again. This actually happens all over the world. I'm traveling quite widely, actually, to the US and Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, all around Europe. So I'm going all over the place. And this is happening everywhere. And the reason is because we have not understood the importance of mentorship. That just having a Diksha Guru or Shiksha Guru is not enough. Our Diksha and Shiksha Gurus have so many disciples, and they're often quite far away. They cannot see how we actually practice day to day, you know, whether our spiritual life is balanced. And they are not there to pull our ear and correct us, right? Everybody, please switch off your phone. Yeah, so, and if we don't have a mentor, then very easily we stay in our comfort zone. And we just externally go through the motions of Krishna consciousness. And all right, we come every Sunday to the Sunday program, and we may do a little bit of seva, but we leave everything as it is. You know, we don't transform our life, our habits, our heart. And then, yeah, we become stagnant. And then Krishna consciousness, after the first few years, it's all new and exciting. And then after a few years, it loses its excitement. And then we fade away. We think, oh, well, yeah, it's all right. I've tried it all, and this chanting doesn't really work for me, and so on. You know, that happens a lot. We don't get a taste. And then Krishna consciousness becomes boring. Always the same thing. Yeah, so this mentorship is of such an importance. And I'm hoping and praying for the day when we actually recognize that having a mentor or a counselor, you may call it a counselor, it's just as important as accepting Diksha. Yes, I'm hoping and praying for that day to come. Yes. Yes. Also, another thing is that very often we make big endeavors to bring people to Krishna consciousness, but then when they have joined, then we stop giving them care and attention. And we just demand service. But the bhakti lata needs ongoing care and nourishment and guidance so that we can really progress. Yes, it's not a matter of just making people devotees or something, but no, we have to nourish people ongoingly. And that's exactly what a mentor is helping us with. Yes. Actually, for some years, I was a member of the Devotee Care Committee of the GBC Strategic Planning. And it was interesting that in the beginning, there was only a preaching committee. And in this preaching committee, there were two moods. There was one mood, let's make new devotees. We need new devotees. And then the other mood was, hang on, where are all the old devotees? Why don't we revive them? What's the use of even bringing more and more people to Krishna consciousness if we can't, nourish them ongoingly so that they give their whole life of being in the fire of devotional service? And then this preaching committee turned into a devotee care committee. And then for some years, this term devotee care was a big new thing in ISKCON. Oh, we need devotee care. Yes. So, but then again, devotee care, often people understand a little too external. They think when, for example, somebody is in the hospital and you bring him prasada, oh, I'm doing devotee care today. But all right, that's one little aspect of devotee care. But actually, mentorship, having a counselor, that forms the basis of devotee care. Yes. Because, real care means we have somebody who guides us, who is a role model and who instructs us and corrects us and helps us to avoid that we get ourselves into trouble. That's the real care. So devotee care is based on mentorship, on having a counselor. That we very clearly established in this devotee care committee. Yes. So now, interestingly, this topic of mentorship and, let's say, sheltering relationships. Mentorship means somebody is giving shelter to us and we are accepting shelter. So this giving and accepting shelter is actually very closely connected to the topic of culture. One of my favorite topics. I have actually established a little institute for spiritual culture, and I'm giving all these courses in Mayapur every year in January. And now I'm in the process of putting these courses in book form. I've published 5 books. So I will tell you at the end a little bit. Actually, when I was here 2017 doing my chemotherapy, that's when I wrote the first book. Yes, I thought, wow, this is the opportunity. Now I can't travel, so let me start writing. Yes. So in any case, this topic of culture is another really important thing. And this topic of giving and accepting shelter is connected with the topic of culture. And to begin with, I would like to share a nice statement that Jiva Goswami makes in the Madhavan Mahotsava. And he says there, though one usually ignores others in attaining one's goals, those aspiring for prema accept dependence on others with similar goals and tastes. Thus, cooperating with each other, they worked together, keeping in mind the goal of prema. So let us have a look at this statement. What is Jiva Goswami saying here? He is basically saying there is two kinds of people in this world. There is those who usually ignore others in attaining their goals. Who is that? Huh? Huh? Mayavadis? Not necessarily. Materialists. Yes, the materialists. They ignore each other in striving for their goals, pushing each other out of the way. So, but those aspiring for prema, obviously the spiritualists, they act very differently. They accept dependence on others with similar goals and tastes. And they cooperate with each other, working together, keeping in mind the goal of prema. So they have a very different mood of relating to each other. Yes. Interesting that Jiva Goswami made this statement already 500 years ago. You know, even then already the materialists were, you know, very differently acting, ignoring each even then they were ignoring each other. Yeah, I've been having lately a bit of voice problems. So let's hope. Yeah, so even 500 years ago, materialists, spiritualists, they were acting very differently. What to speak of today, where Kali Yuga has progressed so much more. So let us one more time quickly have a look at this, at these different relationships, how the materialistic people relate to each other and how the spiritual people relate to each other. So in a culture where sense gratification is the goal, how do people act? So Jiva Goswami says already, they usually ignore each other, but they do so much more than that, right? What do? Yeah, they push each other out of the way, step on each other's heads, getting up there. You know, as soon as sense gratification is the goal, there is envy, competition, right? The survival of the fittest. I think you all know it well out there in the material world. You know, you have to really promote yourself and show off to get up there to the top and all this. So obviously, you know, there is no mood of serving each other, no mood of humility and respect there, but there's just, you know, competition and envy. And another very strong mood is that people are so busy with their own agendas and they don't have time for anybody else. Sorry, I'm busy, running. I have to get my goals met, right? And yes, don't disturb me, don't bother me. That's kind of the mood, right? And relationships are pretty selfish, you know, based on, okay, as long as you are convenient for my interests, you know, I scratch you back, you scratch my back. So, and if somebody else comes along who can scratch better, then he is my friend or she, and the other person, yeah, no need for you anymore. You know, so the relationships are very external and superficial. based on enjoying each other or fulfilling each other's needs. And that's about it. So that's how people relate in the material world, in material dealings. So now relationships in the spiritual world, where self-realization is the goal, they are very, very different. So as Jiva Goswami says, we accept dependence on others who have similar goals and tastes, and we cooperate. We are not in competition, but we are actually cooperating. So that dependence is, of course, internal dependence. It's not financial dependence or something, but internal dependence. And there is a mood of respect and a mood of service towards each other, right? Humility. And it's in that culture, it's very natural that the more senior people, they reach out and uplift the less experienced persons, right? And the less experienced persons, they offer humble service to the seniors and they inquire. Yes, that's a very important way of association, that we should offer service to a more experienced person and we should inquire, we should squeeze them for some nectar, right? Yeah, so very, very different way of relating. And of course, especially here, Bangalore, India is becoming more and more materialistic. I mean, I've been coming to India for 35 years, so I have seen how India has changed, you know, my God, yes. What? Especially Bangalore. Yeah, or everywhere, but yeah. Yeah, so, and then very easily we take this materialistic mood into our devotional life because we are so conditioned, you know? We are actually really a product of our environment. Yes, we may think we make our decisions and all that, but no, we are actually a product of our surroundings and environment. There's so much subtle propaganda infiltrating our hearts, and we don't even notice, we don't realize, you know. Yes, so it's interesting to understand that materialistic relationships are based on enjoying together. So, and when we take up Krishna consciousness more seriously, we say, all right, we don't want to enjoy together and go out for lunch or dinner and go to the movies and all this kind of thing. So we kick out this foundation of enjoying together, but very often we don't replace it with something else. And then the foundation is not there. The relationships are a little hollow and empty. So what we are meant to do actually is that we take away this foundation of enjoying together and we replace it with giving shelter and accepting shelter. And that actually makes a relationship deep and meaningful. Right? But very often we can observe amongst our devotees that, yeah, because we're all so busy running, we just, oh, Haribol Prabhu, Haribol Mataji, how are you? Oh, yeah, nice. And yes, I have to run, I have to do my seva, see you later. And very often it's not much more than that. You know how I like to call these relationships? I like to call them Haribol relationships. Haribol relationships. Of course, at least we are saying Hari Bol to each other. That's already something. But at least there should be one person in our life where we go a little deeper than Hari Bol, you know, and deeper than just talking about this and that and the other thing. But we all need a person where we can really open our heart and we share our innermost fears and struggles, you know? And we know if I open my heart to this person, I get some good guidance. Yes. Actually, that's another thing, that we should open our heart to a senior and more experienced person, because that person can give us the medicine, the correction, the instruction. But often we don't want to hear the medicine or take it. You know, we don't want to hear the instruction and correction. All we want to hear is, oh yeah, I know how you feel. I have the same problem. Never mind, it's okay. You know? So very often we you know, reveal our mind to an equal who has maybe the same problem, because we don't want to hear the instruction. And definitely it is against the Vaishnava etiquette to reveal our heart to a junior person, especially if we have, you know, if we reveal some problems and difficulties, you know, that's really against the Vaishnava etiquette, because we don't want to put a junior person into the situation where they have to give us advice. That's against etiquette. And we also don't want to, you know, it can be quite overwhelming for a junior person when they hear, oh, my senior has all these problems and challenges. Oh my God, what hope is there for me if they are facing all these things, you know? So we have to make sure we reveal our heart to a qualified person and to a person who is more experienced and actually can give us some guidance, you know? Yes. Also in the Garuda Purana, there is an interesting statement. There it says, one cannot be liberated without association with a pure devotee of the Lord. So we know all that. But now it says, and unless one shows mercy to those in an inferior position, one's life will be superficial. So in other words, unless we come to the situation where we actually want to reach out to juniors and have with some genuine concern, and we want to uplift them and guide them and sacrifice ourselves for that, our life is superficial. Why is it superficial? Because we only think of ourselves. We only think what's good for me and my spiritual life, and we don't selflessly reach out to others. So not only our life is superficial, but also our relationships are superficial as well. Yes, our relationships, just Haribol relationships. Yes. Yes, another thing is that as we go through life, we are always facing so many challenges, right? Life is full of unexpected challenges or expected challenges. You know, like a young man may want to join the brahmachari ashram. Oh, that's a challenge. So then after some time, he may decide to get married, another challenge. So then he becomes a father. Oh my God, another challenge. And then the kids become teenagers. Oh my God, another challenge. So then once the kids are grown up, there is another ashram, by the way. the Vanapasta ashram. Yes, that will be my next book on the Vanapasta ashram. Yes, so another whole challenge, and then old age is there, death is coming. Oh, that's the final challenge. So as we go through life, so many challenges are there. And it's only natural that there's always somebody around who has already more experience meeting that same challenge as we have. So it should be actually so natural that we inquire from this person how to deal with a new challenge we are facing, right? Makes sense. It's common sense, actually. But yet, so often we don't do this. We don't ask for guidance. Yes, we think we know it all and we will work it all out ourselves. And we don't even get the idea to ask for guidance. We could actually save ourselves so many troubles and miseries in life if we would just take guidance before we make a decision. Yes. But so often what we do is we make our decision and then we come and say, oh, please give me your blessings. I was the last couple of days in the Singagiri temple, and Devaki Mataji was there giving initiation, so I had a book table. And so many people came up to me to the book table, oh, Mataji, please give me your blessings. People always think the blessings is just some magic. Ooh, so now you are blessed. But no, the blessings is instruction and guidance. That's the blessing. Not that we make our own decisions and then we just go to guru or senior devotee or counselor and we say, oh, please give me your blessings. We are cheating ourselves, yes, because we have made already the decision anyway. Actually, once I was witnessing such a situation because one Mataji went to her guru and I was there for the sake of etiquette, coming as the third person, So, and this Mataji, she was pretty young, unmarried lady. She had decided to live in Vrindavan. She was from Europe somewhere. So she came to her guru asking for his blessings to live in Vrindavan. And he was trying this way, that way to actually kind of tell her that this is not such a good idea for a young unmarried girl to live in Vrindavan. But she was not ready to hear, She had made up her mind. She didn't want to hear. So then finally, what could the guru do? He say, all right, go and try and live in Vrindavan. So, and she left her guru's room. My Guru Maharaj gave me the instruction, I have to live in Vrindavan. Yes, I couldn't believe it. I was there. I witnessed it all, I could clearly understand that he did not want her to live in Vrindavan. But she had made her decision already, So then she told everybody she got the blessings and instruction from her guru to live in Vrindavan. But actually, Guru simply couldn't give the instruction he really wanted to give her because he saw she's not ready to accept. And Guru cannot put the disciple into a situation where he or she will disobey his orders, because that's a very big offense. Actually, one guru once told me privately that the biggest challenge he meets as a Diksha guru is exactly this point, that he can see exactly what instruction he should be giving to his disciple, but because he knows the disciple is not ready to accept it, therefore he can't give it. Wow. So that just shows that even our acceptance of Guru is often very external formality. But deep within our heart, we are not taking shelter, actually. Yes, yes, we remain, keep our independence, and we make our own decisions. And, you know, then Guru can't even give us the instruction he would like to give. Actually, we can say this process of taking shelter accompanies us throughout our whole devotional life on different levels. It's all about taking shelter, you know, ultimately of Krishna, of the holy name. But Krishna is a bit far away, so we need Guru. So, but also Guru is often a little far away. So that's why we have to cultivate this mood of accepting shelter with a counselor. Yes, because, you know, a counselor is more present in our life, and there we learn to accept guidance, instruction, dependence, you know. And as we cultivate this mood with a counselor, then hopefully we will also have that same mood with Guru. That when we face some calamity, that we are running to Guru and ask for instruction. But very often I observe this, that people don't do that. You know, when they face some challenges and difficulties, they don't run to Guru, they're hiding, you know, yes, they're hiding away. And they feel, oh, Guru doesn't understand me anyway. And what will he think? And oh, they're hiding away, you know. Yes. Also very clear, you know, that this topic of having a counselor is not only important for young devotees, but it's actually important for anybody in any stage of life, even for very advanced devotees. In fact, it is even like this, that the more responsibility we carry on our shoulders, the more easily we can be thrown off balance. You imagine the porters at the train station balancing 6 suitcases on their heads, you know, so if you bump him, then the whole thing will fall. So the more he carries, the more easily things go off balance. So it's in the same way with responsibilities and weights we are carrying on our shoulders. You know, we can easily be thrown off balance. So it makes sense that we take shelter of a person who carries even more responsibilities and who knows how to balance, you know, the weights he carries, you know. Yes. Actually, a nice example of the importance of having a counselor is Bharat Maharaj in the Bhagavatam. So he was on the level of Baba, very high, elevated level. And his problem in the forest was that he did not have a counselor. Yes, that was his problem. He was all alone there in the forest, and he got so entangled with his deer. And it started all with good intention that, oh, I have to give this living entity shelter. But then he got so emotionally attached. When you read the story in the Bhagavatam, my God, even at night he keeps the deer on his chest and embracing it, kissing it even. You really think, my God, he really got a little carried away, you know? So he didn't have anybody who taps him on the shoulder and says, hey, it's enough with the deer. Get back to your sadhana. Let the deer be deer. You know? Yes. So that's the function of a counselor. So he didn't have that. So even on the level of Baba, where we have very highly transcendental emotions. Even there, these transcendental emotions can turn back into material attachment. So that should be a warning to us all, that even on the level of bhava, one should want to serve under somebody, you know. Yes, one should want. Another example from the Shastra is Raghunath Das Goswami, when he joined Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri. I mean, Raghunath Das Goswami, he's an eternal associate of the Lord. He's Raga Manjari in Krishna Leela. So when he joined Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu asked him to serve under Swarup Damodar. So one could say, he's an eternal associate of the Lord. Why does he have to serve under somebody? You know, our material ears, when we hear serving under somebody, we think, oh, he is maybe not qualified. He has to be under supervision. But no, we would want to serve under somebody. That's a sign of advancement. That's the mood in the spiritual world, that we are das, anudas, anudas. We are the assistant of the assistant of the assistant. You know? Yes. Yeah, so that's, these are good examples which make it clear that no matter how long we have been in Krishna consciousness, how advanced we may be, we should want to accept shelter of somebody who is more advanced and more experienced and more spiritually empowered. Yes, very important thing. Also, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he says, I wish that every selfless, tender-hearted person of the Gaudiya Math will be prepared to shed 200 gallons of blood for the nourishment of the spiritual corpus of every individual of this world. So that means it takes 200 gallons of blood to bring one person to the level of pure bhakti. And somebody has to shed these 200 gallons of blood. We can't expect the Diksha Guru to shed them. He will be anemic very quickly. So we all, you know, that's what it means to become more mature and senior in our Krishna consciousness, that we have a genuine concern for other devotees' spiritual growth, you know, and that we want to make a sacrifice to help them, to guide them, to be there for them, to sacrifice our time and energy for them. Yes, that's what it means to become more mature and, you know, spiritually advanced. And then there is also another interesting point, that actually the basic principle of Brahminical culture is that the Brahmanas are giving this aloof Brahminical advice, right? So in the second canto, there's a nice statement in the purport. No, actually, it's the verse 279. It says there, the Brahmanas, by their learned labor of love, would instruct the administrator kings how to rule the country in complete righteousness. And thus the process would go on as a perfect welfare state. So in other words, we may know that the kings, they always used to have a Chanakya Pandit who was giving them guidance. Because the point is that as long as we have attachments and material desires, and I think we all do have that, we cannot objectively assess ourselves. We cannot really see where we are standing. Our vision of ourselves is clouded, you know, by our material desires, attachments, false egos, so many things. So we may think we are doing really well, but others may not think like that. They can see, you know, from a more aloof position, and they may see, well, something is imbalanced in that person's spiritual practice. And very often it's like that the more senior we become, there may be nobody who can tell us anything, who can correct us, who can tell us how to move forward. You know, if we have not cultivated this trusting, confidential relationship with a counselor, with a mentor, then nobody is there who can tell us anything. And then very easily, I've seen this many times because I'm the kind of person, I'm always observing things, you know, and trying to get to the roots of problems. And I've seen this so many times that a person who may have been around for 25, 28, 30 years, so, and then you can see gradually their spiritual life, there's some imbalance there. And it starts in a very minute thing, but then as time goes by, the gap becomes bigger and bigger, and all of a sudden he's just heading off in a different direction, going over the cliff. And so many devotees can see it, but nobody can tell him anything because that trusting relationship is not there, you know? And if anybody would try to say anything, then often there's the defense there, the false ego, which we will discuss next week, I think, Monday, Tuesday. So yeah, then nobody can say anything. And then the person goes off the cliff. So, and then we lose another nice devotee. You know, we actually have lost so many devotees of the last 50 years because we did not understand this importance of mentorship. You know, very often also it happens. Very often it may happen that there's some disagreement, some conflict, you know, some argument. And then the devotee gets offended. And when there's no mentor there, no counselor, then instead of taking shelter of a counselor, we take shelter of our false ego. Oh, how could they treat me like this? Oh, I'm offended. I will not go there anymore. I'm not serving with them anymore. And then we just fade away, never to be seen again. Happens a lot. Yes, but if we have a counselor, then we are caught in that network of care. And then, you know, the counselor will, after not seeing us for a week, the counselor will ring, hey, what's happening? Where are you? And, you know, and then the counselor can say, hey, don't worry, it's all right. And, you know, and can encourage us, you know, yes. Yeah, so these things unfortunately go on a lot, you know. Then in Amritavani, which is a very nice book by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he makes this really powerful statement. It's one of my favorite quotes when it comes to mentorship. So carefully listen to this. He says, one who gives personal instruction to each and everyone does more for others than the platform speakers do. So I'm a platform speaker here. I'm sitting on a platform. Generally, whatever platform speakers say cannot solve the problem of everyone in the audience, nor can it always benefit every individual. A person's defects are better rectified in a private tutorial class or private coaching than in hearing lectures in a school or college. Therefore, those who instruct particular persons separately can award them something more permanent. Wow, that is such a powerful statement. I wish we would deeply take this to heart, you know, that just attending classes. All right, Krishna Katha is nice and good and inspiring, but it may not be, be the way to actually rectify our defects. You know, as a sadhaka, we have to do some internal work. We have to try and uproot all different bad qualities, envy, lust, false ego, and. You know, we don't want to just keep it all as it is and just enjoy the Krishna Katha, very nice. No, we have to work on our hearts. So the heart becomes a suitable place for bhakti to grow there. And our defects are better rectified in the one-to-one session, coaching, mentorship, having a counselor. That's where we can rectify our defects, you know? Yeah, so, and that is actually something more permanent. So usually we tend to, judge our preaching always according to how many people attend the programs, right? The bigger the audience, the better is the program. But here, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, actually the one-to-one. This is more important than just giving a lecture in front of 500 people. You know? Yes. Yeah. So I just wish we would deeply understand this and give more time to this one-to-one. Yeah. Yes, that's the whole point. You know? And I mean, another interesting thing is that actually all our scriptures, they come about through the one-to-one coaching session, right? Arjuna is bewildered and Krishna acts as his counselor. And that's how we get the Bhagavad Gita, you know, and also Srimad Bhagavatam, you know, so all the scriptures come about like that, not just, you know, somebody speaking or something. Of course, later on, the scriptures were, you know, taught and repeated to a bigger audience, but it comes about through the one-to-one, you know. So that's another interesting point, you know. So now also, nectar of instruction, the loving exchanges, the 6 loving exchanges. Guyama Khyati Prithyati. This is exactly, actually in the purport, Prabhupada says, a more experienced devotee explains, a less experienced devotee learns from him. So that's exactly the one-to-one, the coaching session. That's the loving exchange Rupa Goswami talks about. Mentorship, counselor. Yes. You know, the confidential inquiry, speaking confidentially, that's the loving exchange of giving and accepting shelter. Often we misunderstand this. We think, you know, this confidential speaking and inquiring is this, we tell our friend what my husband did, what my wife did, and don't tell anybody, it's confidential. But no, that's not what Rupa Goswami is talking about. He's talking about the confidential inquiry, how we can uproot our anatas and how we can deal with all different challenges in life. And then somebody who's more experienced, he confidentially reveals us and he corrects us. Yes, that's the loving exchange. Yes. So before I ask for questions, let us just one more time define a little bit what actually is a sheltering relationship. So as we said already, you know, a counselor, a mentor, he should be senior and more experienced. And he should be a well-wishing friend who has no other interest except our spiritual growth and development. No other interest. Yeah. So that we know for sure this person wants my very best, you know? And therefore I can trust that person. He doesn't have some hidden agendas and, you know, some political interest there or emotional interest or financial interest or anything like that. But no, just my spiritual growth and development. Yes. And also very important that we should want to be corrected by this person. That actually shows that we take shelter, that we want to hear correction. Right? Yes. And we are not doing so well in that usually. We don't like to be corrected. False ego doesn't like it. You know? But there should be at least one person in our life who can correct us, who we allow to touch upon very sensitive points in our heart, which we would not just allow anybody to touch upon, but from this person we will accept. You know? Yes, because we know that person has no other hidden interests, you know. And of course, very important is that confidentiality, that we know this person, we can share our innermost struggles and fears. We don't have to worry that he will put it on Facebook and the whole community knows and blabbers it to so many others. But no, we can really share our innermost thoughts and confidential, you know, problems. So that is a really important thing. I mean, we will tomorrow, as I mentioned in the beginning, today I just want to convince you that we all have to have a mentor, a counselor, and we should eventually become one to others. And then tomorrow evening, we go through a whole list of qualities a person has to serve as a mentor. So we know what to look for. And we also know what to develop so we can eventually serve as a mentor to others. Because unless we come to that stage, our life will be superficial. You know? Yes. Yes. Yeah, so if we have this sheltering, trusting, confidential relationship with our well-wishing friend, then actually correction really becomes a loving exchange, because that person we allow to touch upon these sensitive points in our heart. We wouldn't want anybody else to touch upon them, but from that person we accept it. So then it becomes actually a sweet and deep loving exchange. You know? All right, so this is basically in a nutshell what I wanted to share with you tonight. So let me see if we have any questions, preferably about what we discussed. Yes. We'll start with you, Puru. I actually wanted to let him ask.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much for the mercy. We're discussing with devotees or something related to this, especially my Guru Maharaj, Krishna Swami. There's many disciples. And just for example, this month, after we have different temples in Bangalore, many initiative devotees, and most of them are not even probably aware of this temple. Forget about coming, they don't come, they don't serve. So I've been begging, fighting. There's so much chaos here. Trying to get a list of initiative devotees and their contacts where let's try to help them. So please advise in this direction how to help them, serve them, bring them back, connect them back. The initiative devotees, but missing in action. So please advise.
Well, it's all a question of personal relationship. You know, we have to build personal relationships.
So
There's no technique how to get people back. It's all based on relationships. If there's personal relationships there, then people will want to come, you know. But if there's only Haribol relationships, you know, and no personal connections, we are just not on that level that we come to serve Lord Jagannath or something. But we come to serve the devotees and be with the devotees. But if there's no personal relationships there, then people stop coming. That's what the whole topic is all about, you know.
there could be many reasons, but I'm just begging for the list of initiative devotees and their contacts where I could serve them. So nothing is happening. So
Well, I mean, nothing is happening. You may have to endeavor yourself to, you know, find them somehow. You've been long enough around. So why don't you start making the list?
No, like, for example, we've been this for 11 years now. Jagannath Mandir is with this deity. And then we have been having initiations, many, and then you don't see, I don't know each and every person who's got initiated.
Anyway, I mean, I'm a visiting preacher. I'm not here to get involved in the whole thing here, you know. So, well, try and research, try and endeavor, and to find them, work out where they are, who they are, and so somebody has to start. So obviously nothing happens because everybody is waiting like you. Nothing happens, you know. So somebody has to make the first step, you know. I mean, I know, for example, when was it? Centennial celebration. Yes. So some Prabhupada disciples made this endeavor to, you know, research where is everybody of the Prabhupada disciples, and they had these reunion festivals. So it takes a lot of energy and time to you know, find them all. But many came back through these events, you know, that somebody reaches out. So we all have to, you know, we have to make that endeavor according to our circle of influence and capacities. So we can't just wait, you know. To have ideas are always good. Everybody can have the ideas, but to actually do it, so we just have to do ourselves whatever we can do, you know. So, and then maybe others get inspired by that too. So what are other questions? Let's go back to the actual mentorship topic. Here, this young Prabhu. Okay, but you will be next, don't worry. Yes. Okay.
As in the class, you were telling that even after 25, 30 years, I'm seeing it's not balanced. Some of the devotees, it's lacking. So if we see it's and offensive if we see the smartphone of other devotees. It comes under aparadha. So how, it's also said that if we are seeing discrepancies in others, so that we are reflecting our own image because that fault is within ourselves. So how to take this?
Well, doesn't it always have to be like that? If we have a fault-finding mentality, you know, then we usually project our own faults into others and we criticize. But if we have a caring mentality, you know, trying to help others and being alarmed at some imbalance in others, it doesn't necessarily mean that we only see things which we also have, you know. No, it's two different things. When we are in a critical fault-finding mood, then we project our own faults on others and we recognize them. So it's a question of consciousness. If we serve as a mentor or counselor or guru, you know, I mean, guru sees so many problems and imbalances in others. It doesn't mean he projects his own imbalances or something. So it depends on the consciousness. If we have a critical fault-finding mood, then this is what's happening, what you describe. Right?
It's not we are projecting. It's under the caretaking also. Unless and until we don't go to another devotee, even we are also having the fault within ourselves. So these two simultaneously seeing fault in other and within ourselves we are also having fault. So can't define how to whether we are projecting or see within ourselves also.
Well, as I'm saying again, it depends on our consciousness. You know, I don't believe, I don't agree with it in all regards. That as soon as we see, oh, this person has an imbalanced spiritual life, his sadhana is too weak, or you know, he's not serving enough and not associating nicely with the devotees, his chanting is poor. You know, these are objective criteria which a more experienced devotee can recognize in others. So it doesn't mean, oh, he's just, you know, seeing his own faults there. No. As I'm saying again, if we have a criticizing, fault-finding mood, then this is taking place. But if we are in a different consciousness, if we have a different intention, if we have a caring mood and a genuine concern for devotees, and we see, oh, there is some discrepancy, some imbalance in his spiritual practice, it doesn't mean that we are just seeing our own faults in others. So I don't have anything else to say about it, I'm sorry. Okay, what else? Yes, Prabhu, you had something.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you for the wonderful class. Mataji, if one feels that his mentor is like very busy in his sevas and he has a lot of responsibility, and if he feels that he doesn't want to trouble his mentor by telling him about his problem, then what one should do?
Well, so we are jumping a little ahead here. But yeah, I mean, as I'm saying, the whole seminar I usually give over 15 hours, so we have only 2 sessions of 1.5 hours. I mean, see, ideally, first of all, mentorship should be based on a regular program. So usually a mentor should actually meet with his mentees once a week and have a program. Some Shravanam Kirtanam should be the basis. So it's not that oh, I have a mentor, and whenever I have a problem, I go to him or something. But no, there should be a regular contact based on Shravanam Kirtanam. It's very important that this mentorship relationship is not based on an emotional connection, but it should be based on Shravanam Kirtanam. You know? So, and if there's regular program happening, then surely there should be some opportunity. Also, this brings faith and trust in the person. You know, if we regularly associate with that person in the form of Shravanam Kirtanam, and it doesn't mean that the mentor always gives the class or something, he facilitates. You know, so and then it becomes very natural that after such a session we go up to the person and say, "Oh, can I see you sometime? Can I make an appointment with you? I want to share something with you." You know, so I think this may happen more likely if the mentorship relationship is not based on a regular program. And I've seen this in other parts of the world, that devotees are having some idea that this mentorship is important, but they don't understand it has to be based on a regular program. They just make a poster here, this is the mentors with a photo and contact. If you have a problem, you can ask any of them. You know, but that doesn't work. You know, the relationship has to grow naturally, and the trust has to grow, and faith has to grow through regular association, through hearing from that person and being in that person's association. You know? Yes, let's see what the ladies have to say. Can you speak in the mic? It's not switched on.
Ma'am, what are the qualities or qualification for the mentor you suggest?
Well, we talk about this tomorrow, we said.
Or the mentor, the qualities or qualifications, what needs to have?
Well, I said we talk about that tomorrow. That's the topic for tomorrow evening, the qualities a person has to have in order to serve as a mentor. Okay. Yes, maybe last question.
Krishna, thank you for discussing about the culture, importance of. So I have, see, sometimes one mentor is there and nurtures one is subordinate for a few years, and he sheds a lot of blood, and later on the whoever he has trained, he has to walk somewhere due to some reason, and then he gets into another counselor, or he like takes shelter of him, and then so there is little conflict here. He says his mood is different than the now present mood is. So how should
Well, there can be room for several mentors. It's not only an exclusive one person, you know, and there should definitely not be any possessiveness from the mentor over his mentees, or he is my mentee, he is my man. You know, no. So naturally, when a person moves away, you know, then it is advisable to search out another mentor. So, and it depends on us who to choose, you know, but that other person from before can still play a role in our life, you know. We can have a mentor on our immediate level of our community, but then there can be a mentor in a different city in the same country. There can even be another mentor in another country, you know. It is not restricted just to one relationship. Of course, if we have several mentors just to play out one against the other, So we get, we get the answer that we want to have. That is, of course, not the right idea, But we may also find that we cannot get, all the answers from one person. We may have one person we consult in this field of activities, or another person in another field of activities, and so on. And naturally also, the mentor should be in the same ashram. So let's say we are at the end of our grihastha life, so gradually moving towards Vanaprastha ashram. So then we have to choose a mentor who is already more experienced in the Vanaprastha ashram, and who can guide us to move in that direction further. So it is a dynamic thing, It's not that it is one person for all life or something, Yes. All right, so let me take the opportunity to quickly say a few words about these books I published. So sheltering relationships, I think we have some little idea what this is all about, exactly about this topic of mentorship. There's so much more in this book, of course, what we can discuss in these 2 sessions. There's a whole chapter on envy in it, how envy manifests towards seniors equals juniors. There's a culture of correcting others, how to correct, who is correcting whom. There's a chapter on culture of respect. There's so many important things in this book. So then we have spiritual culture, Krishna's divine system. This is all about the different natures and qualities and energies of men and women. That men and women are not equal. They're very, very different because they're meant to play different roles, right? And it is quite mind-blowing to understand how this man-woman equality actually puts the whole human society upside down. Many temples use this book for brahmachari training, even though the whole book is about women, because we women play a very important role, and if this role is misunderstood and not followed, it gets the whole human society down the drain. And this is what's happening in Kali Yuga now. So very important book for all the ladies. If any lady who wants to have harmonious relationships with men around her, she should read this book. And every man who wants to get a deeper understanding about this whole gender confusion of the modern days, which is getting more and more bizarre and crazy, especially in the Western world, you better also check out this book. Then we have the false ego, our constant companion and troublemaker. We will have a short little seminar Monday, Tuesday. Very insightful. False ego is so subtle, we can easily miss the target in Krishna consciousness. We can feed and boost the false ego in the name of Krishna consciousness instead of dissolving and subduing it. And there's also a chapter on chanting the holy name, how we are meant to chant in japa and in kirtan. By the way, kirtan can be the opportunity to show off and boost the false ego. Yes, so a lot of good things in there. So then we have entering the grihastha ashram, how to do it, how better not to do it. It's like a handbook for matchmaking. Very important for people who are not married yet. Please educate yourself how to enter the grihastha ashram. I come across this all the time, especially here in India, that the parents suggest the candidate, that the children don't even check. They just meet this person once or twice for half an hour and then they get married. And then after marriage, they realize, oh my God, we don't match. So in this book, there's a whole list of over 100 topics which a boy and a girl should discuss with a cool head, without pink glasses on, to see, are we on the same page? Do we have the same goals in life? So parents should read this book so that to help them help them find a good spouse for their children. And young people who are not married yet, they should read it. And mentors, counselors, Bhakti Vriksha leaders, anybody who wants to help people find a suitable partner. Because even amongst Indian devotees, the divorce rate is increasing, yes. So, and then last but not least, no need. I'm wearing a garland for my purification. So no need for people to get all excited that finally she's getting purified. So last but not least, family life as an ashram, secrets of success. That only came out about 2 months ago. There's a lot of interesting things in there. How to create a culture of bhakti in one's home. Not everybody's home life is an ashram, actually. Many married devotees, their home life is not an ashram, not a suitable place for cultivating bhakti. So again, let's educate ourselves. People always enter married life without any education and preparation and training. So at least we should read a few books, before we enter married life, or at the beginning, or even if we are already married. Just to get an idea what makes home life into an ashram, how to create this culture of bhakti in our family. And then the children will very naturally take to Krishna consciousness. But if there's no atmosphere of bhakti in the home, and it's just, oh, don't do this, or you have to chant, this will not be attractive for our children, and then they will not become devotees. And there's also a whole chapter on affection and physical intimacy in marriage. How to live the principle of no illicit sex life within married life. There's a lot of confusion over this. Nobody ever talks about it. And people are bewildered. So I'm trying to give some balanced presentation how to apply this principle in married life. So if anybody of you wants to get some books, these 3 books are 350 rupees each, only rupees, not dollars. And the other 2 are 300 each. And you can pay cash or with Google Pay or phone pay or whatever you call it. Okay, thank you so much for your kind attention. Please come back tomorrow when we discuss the qualities a person has to have to serve as a mentor. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki, Samavada Bhaktivinoda ki, Gaura Premanandi. Yes. So, hang on. Let me first get up. Ah.